This is the grail for a Marilyn collector, the pink dress. And it remains one of the most important film costumes in history.
Tiffany's.
I feel like every generation has their own reference point. You always see this kind of Marilyn moment.
Cartier.
This is something that I never thought would be found, and it hasn't been seen by the public in a long time.
Did you say diamond?
Hi, I'm Bryan Johns, one of the lenders to the Marilyn Monroe Hollywood Icon exhibition.
Hi, I'm Sophia Serrano, and I'm an associate curator here at the Academy Museum.
So the pink dress, which is also known as the diamonds dress.
Worn by Marilyn Monroe in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes during the Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend number.
One of the most iconic scenes in film. But it literally went undetected for decades. There were rumors that it had been damaged and so on. Did it exist even still?
I don't think it's here.
Marilyn was very devoted to this dance number. It was choreographed by the famous choreographer Jack Cole. She arrived before anyone on set. She also would stay after the set had wrapped for the day and continue to rehearse. So she was very, very focused on making this her breakthrough role.
I just love finding new places to wear diamonds.
The pink dress was designed by William Travilla. He was a costume designer who collaborated with Marilyn on 8 different films. He was one of her main collaborators, especially in the early 50s. And they were very close friends. He created a lot of her most iconic looks. So of course the pink dress, the white subway dress from the 7-Year Itch. Travilla accounts that he made 2 copies of the dress. There is accounts that he was sewing Marilyn into the dress as she was getting ready to film.
Almost ready.
His original design for the pink dress was a black sequin netted look. It was a very expensive costume, a 2-piece showgirl look that we have part of on display in the exhibition.
It happened to be when they released the famous nude calendar.
It's nude photos that she posed for in the late 40s that resurfaced.
And Marilyn refused to lie about actually posing for the calendar. And Fox called Billy Travilla and they said, you cannot let her wear that. It's too scandalous. So he had a very short period of time, I think a week or 2, to come up with alternative costumes. That's how this was born, the pink costume. It was a last-minute thing, but it's become one of the most iconic dresses in film history. There's a lot of mysterious circumstances around that dress. It hadn't been seen in a long time, and nobody knew where it was, what had happened to it. And I happened to be watching a documentary on the ruby slippers. And in the documentary, while they were featuring one of the studio sales in the background on a mannequin, I saw the pink dress. I cannot even remember how excited I was. I was just like, oh my God, it does exist. It survived. And so at that point, I really started sleuthing out what this costume looked like. And I started looking back in auction archives, and there was one costume that sold quite some time ago, and it was the highest valued of all of them. So I thought this is a good place to start. I was able to find out who had purchased that dress. And in fact, the person who had purchased it had passed away. And so his son ended up calling me. We had a discussion. I asked if this still existed somewhere, and he said, well, I don't know. He said, I'll go check. So he did. He found it. He called me back and said, I have the dress. One of the things that I do when I'm vetting a piece to see is it authentic or not is I look at what we call film grabs. So we'll take still shots of a particular frame in a film and screen match it. In this case, I did some screen grabs of Marilyn going up the staircase from the back. Everybody, including me, thought it was a bow in the back of that dress. It's not. It's very specifically designed. It has a certain number of pleats and one side wraps over the other. A lot of these other dresses that had come up for auction were in fact featuring a bow in the back. So I knew that's not it. When he brought the dress to my office for me to vet, the age looked right, the construction looked correct. You could still see some markings from body makeup, under the arms and things like this. The belt that goes with it has the scene tag and everything. It even still had a cleaning tag from Fox Studios in it. Then I turned it over, and there it was. It was the dress. It was particularly for me focusing on the 4 folds of fabric that created one of the sides that looked like half of a bow. That's been my most exciting find, and yes, it did take some sleuthing out, and that's also a really fun part of the whole process.
Here we go, the reveal.
Wow, look at that. Oh my gosh, they look amazing.
With all of the costumes, not only are they from the 1950s, early 60s, they are often just made for that one scene. We're not looking at pieces that are meant to be displayed long term, and so there's going to be inherent wear and tear. It's only more recently that as a society, we've taken more interest in archival pieces of this nature, restoring them, conserving them for public display.
Thank you ever so.
The material that was used to make this gown was pink silk peau d'ange, they call it. And it is a specific kind of luminous silk that was available during the 1950s, because this was created in 1952. The color captures the light and it looks iridescent in person. And I think that that's a surprise for most people.
He made this with a mix of structure inside, of boning. He stuffed the bow with horsehair and ostrich feather, used felt, which then was removed. You can kind of see parts of the felt being cut out in the seams so that it would keep its structure just enough so you could still see her wiggle and her movement, but it would still have this form on stage, especially in the long shots.
When I managed to purchase this dress, it came along with another costume that evidently had not been seen. I certainly hadn't seen it.
I don't believe it.
The archival box that it came in also had a bodice that looks very similar to this. It's a slightly different fabric, but it has Marilyn's tags on it. It seems that as Travilla was scrambling to come up with a new look, he might have been exploring putting a bodice on it to cover Marilyn even further, should Fox feel that the strapless look was too scandalous still.
Please don't be silly. We're talking serious.
The sleeves and the gloves that we see on the mannequin are actually not original. These are reproduced to create the full effect, as is the jewelry. The jewelry is fabricated by Josephs of Hollywood. We had the jewelry recreated by a archival jewelry designer, Kathleen Lanai, and she recreated the looks through extensive research of photographs, screenshots, so that you could have the complete look. So you really feel like you're in the room with Marilyn.
Do you think it's too small, Dorothy?
The museum has been so helpful. Our house was evacuated during the fires here in LA, and they stepped up and took our collection in to keep it safe. So it's nice to see it. They did a beautiful job. I think the mannequin looks amazing. And Sophia Serrano, who is the curator for this, has been a friend of mine. We started working together in 2019, and she's done an amazing job. So I think this is going to be a very special dress for this exhibition.
Thank you.
So one of the things that's phenomenal about the pink dress, it has been a great influence on fashion from the 50s till the present. And I think it's been one of the most copied gowns in one way or another. Everybody from Madonna wearing something like this, Lady Gaga's wearing something like this, Kylie Minogue. The number that Ryan Gosling did at the Academy Awards a couple years ago, that silk suit represented this dress. So it continues to be very popular inspiration.
Really, any strapless pink dress, you think of the diamonds are a girl's best friend. It's hard to not see it everywhere, especially for me working on the exhibition.
It's become an iconic symbol of women's empowerment, honestly. And so that character that she played and everything, that wasn't accidental. You know, I think people, when they go through this, remember what she overcame. And then there are lots of examples of how intelligent she was and how carefully she controlled her image. But I want people to know the woman behind the movie star.
Nothing's going wrong this time.